are still watching Prime Morning, and we are discussing what the newspapers have for us. My name is Roslyn Felly, and of course, earlier I did mention to you that Thomas was here. Thomas has been helping us, and he is part of the communications team member. He's part of the communications team for the NDC. And Thomas Ayi, welcome once again. I know we've had a long discussion so far. And joining us right now is Kwesi Boche Jr. He's also a part of the communications team with the NPP. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Roslyn.
You were late.
Yeah.
What happened?
I think I underestimated the traffic, and today the traffic situation was very terrible. So. I'm sorry to you.
The traffic situation is quite terrible every morning, terrible. So you have to wake up. Where do you live?
I live around this Legon.
Okay, all right. Yeah. So you had to fall in traffic. Anyway, we've discussed a lot of stories, but you know, as my viewers are watching, they want to know: are you related to Kwesi Boche?
No, I'm not related.
I'm not in any way. Sure. Anyway, but welcome once again. So we've done a few papers. We've done the Daily Guide, we've done the Ghanaian Times, and we've done the Finder newspaper already. So we have 3 newspapers to go. I think Thomas was doing the Daily Statesman newspaper. Let me quickly run through with it and then take some of his opinion on some of the stories. Let's secure our maritime zone. Akufo-Addo urges heads of state. My government will transform Ghana's economy, says Alan. Glitz Africa CEO gives back to society, and Bawumia government relentless in job creation. That'll be it for the Daily Statesman newspaper. Of course, let me throw you in with some of the stories here, especially with what Alan Chemating is saying, that he will transform Ghana's economy. He coming from the ticket of the NPP. And a lot of people out there, Ghanaians, are saying that the NPP government hasn't made the economy easy at all. Things are tough. Now, somebody coming from the ticket of the NPP says, I'll transform. So how is it that in his party he hasn't transformed it, but if he becomes a flag bearer, he can transform it?
Thank you very much, Roslyn, and good morning once again to you. I think when I was coming, I had the opportunity of listening to my brother. He's had the opportunity to channel out a lot of falsehood. And I'm very excited to be here to at least correct a few mishaps in his comments. When I was coming, I heard him say in the Professor Frimpong Boateng's report, the Chief of Staff was involved in Galamsey. I want him to tell us the paragraph of the report that insinuated that the Chief of Staff, Madame Firma Akosua-Pare, is involved in Galamsey. He should tell us.
Did he say that?
Yes, he said that. When I was coming, I was watching through your live feed on Facebook. So I would want him to tell us the exact paragraph that tells us that Madame Freeman or the Chief of Staff is involved in Galamsey.
Aye, over to you.
See, what I said was, you have senior members from the presidency whose name came in the reports. We have, what do you call it? The communication minister, upon, I hope you know him.
He's Minister for Information.
His name pop up, isn't it? Is it not from the presidency?
I'm talking about the Chief of Staff. You were specific.
No, I mentioned names.
Chief of Staff.
I mentioned names.
And you mentioned the Chief of Staff. I want you to tell us.
You want to just choose and pick?
No, I'm not choosing and picking.
Thomas, when we're making a conversation, wait, Kwesi, let me come in. When we're making a conversation, I told you and I asked you if you have proof with whatever you're saying.
Yes, I have proof.
So you see,
and
now,
I quote the proof to you.
Thomas, I asked you if you have proof, because whatever you say, people are watching it.
Sure.
So if you don't have proof, and you mention names, if you mention names or you mention titles or you mention designations, they will come for you. So if you are saying you have proof and you mention Chief of Staff, where's your proof?
No, I didn't mention her name. But I mentioned from the office. No, wait. From the office of the Chief of Staff, we have people involved in Galamsey. And yes, from the office of the Chief of Staff,
so not the Chief of Staff.
We have people. Look, please. From the office of the Chief of Staff, from the office of the presidency.
So you are correcting
videos.
Wait,
didn't we get videos?
Thomas, are we correcting it then? Are we correcting it?
I'm not correcting whatever. I said from the office of the Chief of Staff.
So we have people. So it's not the Chief of Staff. He said
involved from.
no. It's not the chief of, just clear it. It's not the chief of staff.
I said from the office.
Thomas.
From the office of the chief of staff. No.
Okay, go.
I would have mentioned her name.
All right, go.
And I said from the office of the chief of staff, we have people, and I mentioned even the woman organizer of the NPP, whom we were told involved, and his excavator
so
got
you
bent.
have cleared.
Yeah, so those names I have mentioned, I'm still insisting on those names I have mentioned.
Well, you see, when he came in here, he didn't mention those people. He just mentioned.
Yeah, so he should also tackle those names as well.
You have cleared it.
So you can't choose and pick. So we still have people. He can confirm. We still have people from the office of the chief of staff.
So now the air has been cleared.
Yes, the chief of staff was not involved in Galamsey. Fair enough.
Right.
And also, I heard him talk about corruption just when I entered, that this government is the most corrupt government we've had so far in our political dispensation in this country. I think that is factually inaccurate and incorrect. And it's a blatant falsehood that must be disregarded by all of us. Because if we are looking for a very corrupt government in the Fourth Republic, that is the NDC government. We had the NDC government brand ordinary Kufuor buses. Just putting the pictures of our former president on the Kufuor buses, they took us 3.7 million Ghana cedis. He mentioned Boyume, that how come they were able to prosecute Boyume, and it would have even been better if they didn't prosecute Boyume. Because how do you prosecute someone with the wrong charges? The person goes to court, gets acquitted and discharged, and because you know the double jeopardy rule doesn't allow you to prosecute the person again, and so technically the person is free. That was what exactly the NDC did. Because you charge Boyume with defrauding by false pretense. Instead of charging him with corruption and corruption-related offenses, you go and charge him pretending by false pretense. Because he's been acquitted and discharged by the court. And so you cannot sue him or prosecute him again on the same, facts.
But that's a case whereby, from what he is saying, is that anytime their government heard of corruption, their government was quick to investigate. Their government was quick to put people in court to find out the truth. And that is the right way to go about things. And he's saying that under the NPP, we have seen so many things where even Anas has done an expose. But what was the outcome? We haven't seen anybody out of the NPP face the law, because things have come out saying that this is it. So we say, okay, lawyers investigate, you go to court, and then if court says that you are acquitted, you are acquitted. And that's what he was saying. Thank
you very much, Rosalie. Before I answer your question, you are one of the few journalists that I really admire watching, because you ask very intelligent questions. And this is one of those questions. The reason why under the erstwhile government, the presidency of Mahama was able to investigate several corruption allegations against them was that the evidence and the facts supported those allegations. Under this government, name one scandal and give me the evidence or the facts that support the scandal. I mean, all the scandals that have come out in this government are just baseless allegations. For instance, this Galamsey report we are talking about. Because you have a report which is based on gossips, hearsays, infactual statements. I mean, a report that is based on a baseless report, let me put it that way. Because there is no piece of evidence or iota of evidence supporting any of the allegations made against any of the persons mentioned in the report. Let's take, for instance, Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah. Where is the evidence against Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah that Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah is involved in Galamsey? Just because the minister heard or somebody called the minister that Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah has grouped a few journalists and they are talking about you, or they are setting an agenda against you, which before Kojo has come to establish that is untrue. And so how do you investigate such a baseless allegation? I mean, the evidence, there are certain allegations that are not baseless. For instance, the 3.7 million Ghana cedi Smarties bars branded scandal. It wasn't a baseless allegation. And so you cannot disregard such an allegation. But until you investigate, you will not know that some of the allegations, premier facie, you know that this allegation is very worthless. You can't throw allegations out. Of course you can, Rosaline. Of course you can. You have to investigate to find out that is this allegation true or not? Because sometimes what you might think is not true and you sweep it under the carpet could be what is true. And so you ought to investigate to find out if what is coming out is true or not. Then when you have your findings, you come out to tell Ghanaians that after
after investigations, we realized that all the allegations were baseless and they were untrue.
You know, Rosalind, you cannot just investigate any allegations because we know the NDC, our brothers on the other side, they are fond of putting falsehoods in the system.
But this is a case whereby it's coming from the NPP government.
No, I'm making a point.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to say is that before you can investigate something, there should be a piece of evidence that you base on to investigate the allegation.
You think that letter is not an evidence enough?
Which letter? The report?
Yeah, the report.
No. Because no, it's not. The report would not stand the test of time of any investigation. It's only going to be a waste of time to investigate this report.
Really?
Yes, of course. Because again, going back to Kojo Apon-Nkrumah's situation, the minister said somebody called him to inform him that Kojo has assembled a few of your colleagues at Dodowa and they are setting an agenda against him. Clearly, Kojo has come out to tell us that it was a meeting organized by the Bank of Ghana and the Private Newspapers Association. This was not a meeting held in secret. And so how could you investigate something like this and even granted without admitting that Kojo was setting up such a meeting? How does that become a predicament or an impediment in the fight against Galamsey? And so how does that make Kojo Apon involved in Galamsey? I mean, this is something that you cannot admit. Because it's basically hearsay and you cannot admit it.
But you know when when in case of murder, okay, and I present a statement to the police and I say to the police that I think that Kojo was not at home at that time. I think Kojo was with the girl at that time. Police will not take my statement lightly. Police will investigate. In case of theft, if I say that I think I saw Yao in there, the shadow looked like Yao. Police will not just sweep it under the carpet. Police will investigate to find out if Yao was home or Yao was present. So if somebody in their camp comes out to say that these are the things that are there, isn't it right that we sit down and we discuss it, or we sit down and we investigate it? Because that's where you have the special prosecutor, where you are supposed to investigate such things, and then you come out and say, you know what, on account of this and that, we find a report, this and this and that. But rather, presidency releasing a statement saying that debunk everything that you have heard, because investigation hasn't even gone out there.
Thank you very much, Wesley. You know, I have the opportunity to be at the Ghana School of Law, so I'll touch slightly on what you just said. That when you say, for instance, you saw me involved in a murder incident, with that one, you have a direct knowledge of what you are saying, that you saw. But when you come and tell me, when you say you saw our co-host here involved, or our co-host here told you he saw me involved in a murder, that is hearsay. You don't have any direct knowledge of what you are talking about. You are only telling the police what another person told you. And that cannot be admissible when the person who told you is not available to come and testify herself in court. And so that cannot be admitted.
But when the police find out from my co-host, if what my co-host is saying is true, saying that Amma came to tell me that
and so that one, we are going to interrogate your co-host and not you. What Frimpong Boateng did, he said somebody told him.
So you're going to
why don't you put out the person who told you, and then we interrogate the person that, okay, what do you have, what facts do you have against Kojo Apon-Nkrumah that he's involved in Galamsey? But you said somebody called you, somebody told you this. That is basically gossip. Yes, that is gossip.
All right,
and that cannot be investigated. Because if the president says he's going to investigate every piece of gossip, then I mean we are going to waste all our national resources on investigating baseless allegations against innocent people. That is what is going to happen. But under the erstwhile government, there were scandals that couldn't have been ignored. For instance, the Ford scandal. These are scandals that you cannot ignore. There are so many scandals under the erstwhile government that it's not possible for you to ignore. For instance, currently the minority leader is in court standing trial against the ambulances he purchased. I'm sure if you are aware.
I am.
These are allegations you cannot ignore because the facts and the evidence supports the allegations. But in this government, there is no evidence supporting any of the allegations leveled against any of our appointees in this government.
Okay,
it wouldn't be proper to investigate any of those allegations.
Right, let me bring Thomas in. Thomas.
You see, I'm not surprised. Charles Bissiou case in a video is a hearsay. That's what he wants to tell us. It's a hearsay.
I'm not mentioning Charles Bissiou.
No, it's a hearsay. It's they are in the report. Even the special prosecutors, report. It was in 8. What's the president doing about it? 2, missing excavators is also a hearsay. Is that what he's telling us? 3, bus fuel disappeared, evaporated at bus is also a hearsay. Outboard motors that was meant for fishermen to use got missing under this administration is also a hearsay. You see, the NPP is trying to make us feel as if Ghanaians can't think. Ghanaians can't think. In a video, a whole video where we all saw the former GFA president saying the president is so corrupt that he's in his front pocket. It's also a hearsay. We shouldn't even investigate that.
No. That an action was taken. We all know.
So what was the end of the action?
Where is Kwesi Nyantakyi today? We all know.
No. The president himself should be investigated. Why Kwesi Nyantakyi should say the president is in a front pocket?
You remember I asked you a question earlier with regards to people writing stuff about somebody.
Not writing, saying.
Wait, are you saying that if I sit somewhere and I say something about Mahama, John Dramani Mahama, and they come for me, you're going to say that they should investigate John Dramani Mahama, even
he should be investigated.
That's what you're saying? But
yes.
There are so many things that have been said.
You should be investigated. If you comes out as what we are saying was a lie, fine. You should be investigated.
What if I was
so I have given you a list. What about the 1 million fertilizer that got rotten? That's what they told us. What about that? That one is also a hearsay. That one is also a hearsay. PDS. Till now, over about 2 years, that bills were paid under PDS. It has not been accounted for till date. Is that one also a hearsay? So NPP should, you see, you are such corrupt that whenever we come out with the strong evidence, you tell us it's a hearsay. I'm not surprised. The same president will come out and then clear, what do you call it, Akunta mining, and then tell us that they are not involved in any illegal mining activities. This is where it has brought us. So he should tell us probably it's a hearsay that excavators got disappeared under this administration. He should tell us it was also a hearsay.
Right.
Probably Charles Bisu in a video taking bribe. Probably the same Professor Frimpong Boateng. Party ni Nyansika. So people should get involved in Galamsey. Is that one also a hearsay?
Okay. Now let's talk about, you were talking about the schools that were built under John Dramani Mahama. You go to the secondary side. Can you continue, please?
Okay, so at the secondary side, we have these community schools. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama pledged 200. At the end, we had 123. We completed 49, completed from the scratch to the top, completed under His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. At the tertiary level, we had the Allied Science, University of Allied Science. So it's under His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. He has been able and sacrificed to ensure that we will bridge the educational infrastructure under his administration. We have the free, what do you call it? The free progressive SHS program that was started under His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, where we had day students going to school for free, where we have most of the, what do you call it, our females also going to school, in the boarding schools, going to school for free. So His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has contributed. We are under this administration.
But we never said
how many?
Did we? All we said was that we've seen the free SHS being so strong now, and it has enabled a lot of young people who didn't have the privilege to go to secondary school back then because
it will be strong because if the infrastructure gap, our secondary school infrastructure gap was filled by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
Okay.
Not about build. If it's about building, what do you call it, canteens. If it's about building toilet facilities, if it's about building classroom blocks, that's what His Excellency Mahama under his administration has done. So many. Under this administration, even the ones that were supposed to be completed under this administration, that was started under His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, How many has been completed under this administration?
Right, let's do the Ghanaian publisher quickly, and then we'll do
Can I have a quick bite about what he just said?
Let me do this, and then you
sure,
still have the bite. Don't worry about it. I just want us to finish with the newspapers. No witnesses for Opuni trial, AG tells court. Sudan conflict, 82 Ghanaians evacuated, says the government. Africa needs development-oriented people to transform. Adelaide Japan says so. Galamsey report, NPP defends Akufo-Addo as NDC petitions Parliament and Office of the Special Prosecutor for probe. The Chronicle newspaper will be our final newspaper, and then I'll allow my two gentlemen to have their final takes. The Chronicle newspaper, Akufo-Addo calls for collaboration to fight illegality at sea. And the alleged killer wept. Did he really cry? Wow. I didn't intend to kill my lover. What happened is between God and I. He said it in Twi. So should I translate it in Twi? Because I didn't just say, my name say, meku me dofono. Ni see no e me ne me nyankopon ntem asem. Yo yate. Wow. Anyway, NDC wants special prosecutor to probe leaked Galamsey report. The recruitment film launch premieres 13th May at the Silverbird Theatre. Let's see some stories in here as well quickly, and then we can round up the conversation. All right. All right, so entertainment, we worked at construction sites for survival, says Tigo Sisters. Entertainment sells Ghana more than football, Dada Hafko says so. And yes, like I read earlier, recruitment film launched. Some international news, US President Joe Biden announces 2024 re-election campaign. How old is he though? He'll be 86 at the end of his second term. Wow. All right. Sudan crisis, gunfire head but on easy truce holds. 58 bodies recovered in Kenya starvation cult case. Andre Medev, okay, the name is quite difficult to mention. So, U.S. woman arrested in Sydney with golden gun in luggage. That will be all for the newspaper. That's the Chronicle newspaper. So, yes, Kwesi, you wanted to say something.
Thank you, Rosalind. Before I come to what my colleague said, I would like to just say something brief about the alleged police man who shot the girlfriend.
You didn't see the CCTV?
Yeah, no, I've not watched it yet.
I've watched it.
Okay, so when I was coming, I heard my colleague here say the gentleman is sick in the mind. You know, we've had a lot of murder instances where the accused persons go to court and then they tell the court,
they were sick in
I'm sick in my mind, I'm a lunatic person. And you know, that is also a formidable defense in court. This person was not sick in the mind. It was a deliberate act. That is why you just read that what happened was between he and his God. And so we shouldn't paint the picture to make it look as if when abusive people, you know, cause such offenses, they come under the guise that they are sick in their mind, because that has always been a pattern. And let me use this opportunity to tell all our young ladies out there that if you are in a relationship with anybody, you are married to somebody, and the person is abusing you, please leave the relationship. The relationship is not worth it. And
you know, in recent times, I've come to realize that even when they leave, they chase them and they kill them.
Really?
Yes. Yes. Mostly the men will say, yes, they'll say, if I can't have you, nobody can have you.
Really?
Yes.
Then you are in prison.
I've read it several times where women have left abusive relationships. The men have followed them, unless you decide to run away where he doesn't know of your existence or where you are.
You see, in our society,
so after probably like a year, it would have worn off. Then, you know, by the time he sees you, he would have forgiven you. But if it's fresh and he sees you and he knows where you live, he can come and kill the people there.
Wow. Then it means that should be a security concern.
If you are facing such problem, just talk to people. In our society, we are scared. Charlie, if I tell my brother, another person will hear it. Talk to people. If you are an abusive relationship, it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be loved. At least when that person is not even close to you, you feel it. But Charlie, if you are in a relationship and the person keeps on slapping you, using abusive words on you, please talk to somebody and leave. Probably you are not qualified to be in that relationship.
And Rosalie, you know, the point is, before I move to the next point, the point is no abusive man deserves a woman. That's the point. So if you know you're an abusive man, or dear ladies, if you know you are out there with any man who is abusive, just know that he doesn't deserve you.
This particular conversation is what we are having during Prime Insight today.
Okay.
We are talking about emotional intelligence because it looks like it's declined in recent times heavily. Yes, we know that in the past it's been there, but it looks like, I don't know if it comes with, you know, no money in the pockets. I don't know. I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
You know,
I don't think so.
But we will have an expert in the house who will come and, you know, explain to us why we are seeing this decline in emotional intelligence in recent times, because it's quite worrying. Like I said, imagine you say to somebody, I don't want to be in this relationship again. You leave and the person follows you and kills you. We don't know what the main thing is. It could be so many factors leading to it. It could be love. It could be anger issues. It could be you know, it could be monetary issues. Nobody knows what it is.
But you see, the point is that women should be very careful with the guys they even start a relationship with, because if you are going into a relationship with somebody and you see certain red flags and you ignore the red flags, it means you are ready to face the consequences. And so when you see those red flags, you just have to walk away. Now, back to our politics.
Yes, let's
my colleague mentioned that former President John Dramani Mahama, who I'm tempted to say has outlived his political usefulness, solved our infrastructure problems in our educational sector. That cannot be correct. Because you remember that in 2017, when this government rolled out our first free SHS program, we had parents complaining that their wards were not getting places to sleep and all that. And so it cannot be correct that the former president solved our infrastructure problems in our educational sector. And again, it is not true that we have an free SHS has caused an educational deficit. We know that the NDC has always been against the free SHS policy because we had their former Deputy Education Minister, Honorable Kujeto Ablakwa, tell this government that free SHS is going to collapse the secondary school education. And so we know the position of the NDC, that when it comes to the free senior high school policy, they are against it. And they should be warned, because nothing is going to stop this government from pursuing that policy, because this is a policy that since its enrollment has increased the secondary school, the number of children that go to secondary school of about 1.2 million children. 1.2 million children who couldn't have access to secondary education now have access to secondary education, granted without admitting that there are challenges with it. In fact, no policy is 100% efficient. There are challenges with every policy that has been formulated by every government in the world, not only Ghana. And so free SHS cannot be an angel policy without any, you know, black spots. And so the main point is that free SHS has come to help the poor and needy people in society. Free SHS has come to bridge the gap between the rich and the poor in terms of education. Now, everybody has access to education, no matter the grade you get, no matter the school you went to, no matter the background of your parents or whoever is financing you, you still have access to education. Basic education, and that is the vision of the president. The vision of the president is to make sure that at least every girl child, every young man has access to quality secondary school education.
Right.
And that vision is being realized.
Okay.
Today, as I speak to you, there's been so many STEM schools in this country. Right now, we are just trying to put up the science and technical innovation.
So there are 6 STEM schools currently?
Yes, currently.
The way you said it, we thought 100.
Oh no, we are still, I mean, it's a gradual process. And so probably by the end of when NPP continues to stay in power for the next maybe 8 years, I'm sure we'll be able to put up 100.
Okay,
yeah.
Let's do the final newspaper, the Daily Dispatch newspaper. Kumawu by-elections, NDC sponsoring an independent candidate to split NPP votes, says Chairman Wontumi. Joe Biden 80 launches 2024 re-election campaign. 90% of Ghanaians are unaware they have malaria parasites, says Noguchi. Woo-hoo, almost everybody has a malaria parasite. The free SHS policy is excellent, but, says Nat, and I think that when you purchase the Daily Dispatch newspaper, you get to hear where the but is coming from. And, you know, talking about, you know, malaria parasite in people, this is a conversation we brought to you yesterday. And so we ought to be careful out there. Like I said, I was okay until I got to the hospital. I realized, no, I'm not okay like I thought I was. And so you at home, you have to take very good care of yourselves. I will take your final takes and then we can go. Let me start with you, Thomas.
You see, let me quickly...
You have barely a minute.
Barely a minute.
Yes.
So was Ken Oforiatta speaking against free SHS when he said it should be reviewed? Was Adokufo speaking against free SHS when he said it should be reviewed? Was the majority of Ghanaians speaking against free SHS when they said it should be reviewed for the betterment of all? Nobody is against free SHS. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, who introduced the progressive free SHS for the average Ghanaian to have a free education. Are you saying he's against free SHS? But what we are saying is we need infrastructural development. When he was, I thought he was coming to mention the infrastructural development. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, after borrowing over 500 billion under this administration, used to develop the infrastructural deficit of our secondary schools or our tertiary institutions or our basic education institutions in this country. No, he didn't even mention even single one under this administration, not even single one. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, take it from him or whatever you want to do. It has contributed immensely to our development of our infrastructure, the infrastructure deficit and under our secondary schools, our tertiary institutions, and our basic level education as well. You see, the NPP government just accepted that it has collapsed. It has collapsed this country from education to health, from health to even sports, whatever, under every sector of my sister.
Really?
They should tell us. They should tell us what they have done. What we witnessed under this administration was the visa scandal under what? Pius. Do you remember that visa scandals where NPP youths were taken outside the country? Under this administration, you see, you are so corrupt and you've not done anything. You've not done anything for this country. And when we talk, you say, "Oh, Mama and the NDC are against." Look, the same administration that you said they're against and whatever free education, built over 49 from your own former education minister Napo. Built over 49, completed. Right, 123 under various stages of completion.
Okay,
gave you the allied health. Built over 1,345 basic institutions for our brothers in the primary schools. The same people. And you are calling them that they're against free education.
All right, Thomas, thank you so much. And Thomas is representing at the NDC. Let me come to you, Kwesi, your final
Rosalind, what I said was that Honorable Kujeto Ablakwa predicted that the free SHS policy was going to collapse secondary education. This is the story from My Joy Online, one of your sister networks. It says, minority predicts collapse of free SHS in 5 years, 23rd November 2017.
Prediction is not saying that he's against.
Listen, let me tell you what he said. Let me read to you. Let me know. Please. That has been found to be untrue. That has been found to be untrue. Please, don't go there. That has been found to be untrue.
Is it not the challenge?
Oh, please keep quiet. I was quietly here when you were speaking.
Let me say this. Now, Thomas, when this toilet issue came, we discussed it live here, and we got to know that is not true. It came out, and so they said they were going to investigate the people behind it because the headmaster did say it is not true. The old students did say it is not true. And so we will not sit on national television. No, Thomas, we will not sit on national television. No.
Let me land.
No.
So you let me get my data.
No, because we will not sit on national television and go back and say it is true and use it against anybody because we have been told it is not true. So let's close that door.
Accept. I'm coming. You accept that we have infrastructure deficit.
But we'll not use the toilet as an example.
Under our secondary school education and even our education at large, which His Excellency John Dramani Mahama came to fix, and we will do more. It voted for in 2024. Your time is out.
Please, Kwesi.
Rosalind, let me even continue. Let me not waste time reading this. You know what? If there is any political personality in this country who has outlived this political usefulness and wants to still be relevant in our political dispensation, is His Excellency former President John Dramani Mahama. My colleague here was saying that the NPP government has collapsed this country. A government that has been able to provide an ambulance for each constituency, you call it a government that has collapsed this country. A government that is making sure that our kids are going to school without paying a dime, you call it a government that is collapsing this country. A government that has made it possible for the first time in our country that we are using drones to deliver medical equipment to rural areas. You call it a government that is destroying our country. What about a government that made us sleep in darkness for over 6 years? How would you describe such a government?
Oh,
a government.
I would rather wait.
A government.
Please, I would rather, Thomas. I would rather just speak about what you are doing, so that
no, but we need to compare for Ghanaians to know the alternative. We need to compare.
You see,
we need to compare. We need to compare.
When we go into that comparison, what it is that we have a situation whereby he was also going to do something, and I stopped him.
Okay.
So let's talk about.
Fair enough.
Yes.
Fair enough. So we have a government that is doing very well for the Ghanaian people. We have a government that is committed to the cause of Ghanaians.
Okay.
Unlike the other governments that we've had, especially the erstwhile government.
That's no.
My final comment.
Unfortunately, I don't have enough time. So on that note, all I'll say is a very big thank you to you, gentlemen, for being here. Next time, come in early so you can have enough time to have your submissions put out there. Thank you so much, Thomas. Very grateful. Have a good day where you go. Put a smile on your face. I want to see that smile on your face. Good. And also a big thank you to you, Kwesi Botre, who represented the NPP. You've been watching News Flash. It's time for us to delve into our emotional intelligence conversation. Now, we've heard about this man who killed his girlfriend. We still don't know why he killed his girlfriend. When he went to court yesterday, he claims that he was, the lady was owing him 5,000 Ghana cedis. Well, let's talk about the military brutality in Ashaman as well. Let's talk about so many things that are happening in recent times. What is happening? What is causing all of this? Now, you ought to stay glued to your television set because this conversation has to be heard and we have to hear it well. Now, we also talk about, a story in Kenya that is happening. I read a little bit about it, but I think that most people haven't heard about it. Maybe you haven't heard about it, where a church, supposed cult, told their members that they are going to meet Jesus and made them starve to death.
Wow.
Yes. Currently, they've retrieved over 80-something bodies have been buried. Wow. This happened in America in 1976. It happened in America where over 900 people were killed by the church. The church told them they were going to meet Jesus. Same thing. Wow. Over 900 members were killed. The only surviving person was a man's child who had been sent away to go play basketball. He was the only person who survived. For the church members who decided not to kill themselves, they were shot to death. And then the pastor killed himself.
To go and see Jesus by force.
The Kenya incident was in 2023.
It's happening.
Wow.
Now, just last week they retrieved.
In this modern age.
Yes. So just last week they retrieved the body, and this is what was she doing? She was an air hostess. She was an air hostess, and she came.
People are really
in the church. They were camp or what?
Yes. So they died and then they buried them. But this is the conversation that we are going to have. You can read further. It's on. It's online.
That's what religion has brought to us.
It's not just religion. It's emotional intelligence.